Welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. Today's episode is all about the Epson WorkForce series of printers. Now, the first thing you think of when you think workgroup printer with, heavy duty cycle and, printing economy and all that might not be inkjet, but Epson is trying to turn that perception completely around with the WorkForce series. These are color printers that are optimized for office use that are inkjet rather than laser. Now, when it comes to a workgroup printer, you need quality. You don't want to have downtime. There's no room for paper jams. There's no room for printers that are only rated for a few papers per day. Basically, 25,000 pages per month is the rating for this guy. It uses micro piezo technology in order to achieve very fine printing, which is not quite up there with laser in terms of sharpness for text, but Slick and I both agree it's significantly better than most inkjet printers we've seen in the past. Instead of heating up the ink, it uses EMP pulses to control the size of the droplets, which makes it very accurate, of course. And finally, DuraBrite ink is the same ink that Epson uses in their graphic design printers as well. So that means you've got instant drying, which is great for two-sided. So it does auto two-sided printing, and it can flip it right away because it won't smudge and it won't fade as well. And last but not least, the ink is actually water resistant. Now, quality. So I'm talking about quality a lot, but what does, are they standing behind it? The answer is yes. It has a 3-year warranty, and Epson's promising 2-day turnaround with free shipping on a replacement if the printer fails for any reason. It'll arrive just like that. Another design pillar of the Epson WorkForce series printers is convenience. So it starts with the XXL sized cartridges. These basically, how many times have you looked at an ink cartridge? Let's go ahead and put that in there since I pulled it out before. And gone how much ink could possibly fit in this thing? Why am I paying so much for this? If you're gonna pay a bunch for an ink cartridge, you might as well have something that actually holds a decent amount of ink and can print a bunch of pages. These guys are good for up to 3,400 pages per cartridge, which is very cool stuff. Love to see that. Next is the auto double-sided printing. So because of the instant dry technology of their DuraBrite ink, it can easily and quickly print double-sided without any hassle. Finally, it holds up to 500 pages with an optional additional front-loading tray and the 80-page rear-loading tray, which is great for things like cardstock, labels, or other kinds of specialty papers that are thicker or will have difficulties with printers that actually heat up the media as it's going through. Last but not least, the rear slide, or the rear-loading paper, is not subjected to any severe bends as it goes through the printer, which means for those specialty media, you're not going to run into any difficulty with paper jams, which can obviously waste a lot of time. And when you consider that maybe 10 or 20 people are going to be using this, if every one of them wants to do things and things get jammed, that's not very good at all. Finally, last thing for convenience, and I think I've said that a couple times now, you've got lots of options for remote printing. So you can use AirPrint, CloudPrint, so those are the Apple and Google technologies. Epson provides apps for various smartphone and tablet platforms. And finally, you can use email print. So you can set that up during the setup process, and it's as simple as sending the document to an email, and it'll print to your printer. So the summary is pretty simple. It's a very flexible solution. There's a wide variety of different models available. This guy right here is the super premium one. It has a multifunction scan, flatbed scanner, Fed scanner, as well as a fax machine and all that crazy stuff, as well as being a printer, whereas there are models available that are less robust. So you can get ones that are multi or single function. You can get ones that they all have Ethernet, but you can get ones with or without Wi-Fi. They're all PCL compatible, so you can easily integrate it into your existing network. And finally, something that I wanted to mention that didn't really come up in the Epson documentation for this, but I thought was kind of neat compared to laser. So we're talking trade-offs here in terms of your cost, your energy savings. They're about 40% more efficient than laser printers, according to Epson. The last thing I thought was really neat is there's no warm-up time. A lot of the time from my office to my workgroup printer, I can usually beat my document to the printer. Whereas this guy right here, there's a very short delay in terms of the time you press the print button versus the time it actually spits out of the printer. So I'm going to show you guys live on camera exactly how long it takes. Here's my test printing document that you've probably seen a couple times at this point. Print, OK. So I'm going to walk from my computer over to the printer here. Just going to do that. And we're done. So there's no delay. Thanks for checking out this episode of NCIX Tech Tips, and don't forget to subscribe.